It was Bear actually who came up with like a classification of the Bululs, but for academic purposes, each area in Ifugao would have their own way of carving Bululs. So you would have the Hapao people are more the Hapao Ifugaos are more detailed in carving their Bululs. So you'd have complete noses and ears and even facial expressions. In Banaue, not so much, but not so much on the details. But you'd see all these like fierce-looking Bululs. The Kiangans would just come up with something that looks like an anthropomorph and then consecrate it, because to them it doesn't matter what it looks like. It's the performance of the consecration ritual that matters actually. The Bululs are spirits. They're on the the, the wooden figure is just a representation, just like the Catholics would have all these statues of saints and the Virgin Mother or Jesus Christ, right? So these are representations of a spiritual entity. So it depends. So because Hapao, the Hapao Ifugaos are known for their good wood carving, so you expect them to be really detailed on coming up with their own Bululs. So that makes their Bululs distinct from the other areas. Um, Kiangan, it depends also on the purpose of, because if it's a sickness related Bulul consecration, because diseases of the bones, of the blood, um, these are attributed to the Bulu. It's a curse of the Bulu. So you need to perform a consecration ritual for the Bulu, which means so usually it would be, if the patient is crippled, then you would have to like consecrate a Bulu of Namtogan, because you have all these different Bululs. There's not just one Bulu; it's a family of Bululs. So the Bulul of Namtogan, in its own story, in its own sacred myth, is a cripple. So that's why you see those sitting Bululs, because it's a cripple. It cannot walk, but it has powers. It cannot walk, it cannot stand. The reason why it's sitting. And sometimes it's like crouched or something. It cannot stand straight. So others would have like the dancing bulul of Kiangan. These are the Kadangyan bululs, because they are paired with, during the Balihong ritual, it's practically an uyawi of a child, male or a female. They're paired with the bulu. So the consecration part of the uyawi ritual would be when the child and the bulu dance as a couple. So the Kiangans would carve a bulu with arms outstretched. It's in the one of the stances of the Ifugao dance. So that's why it's called the dancing bulu. So that's one purpose. But you cannot carve a dancing bulu for a sickness consecration, or for the consecration of a rice granary, where you also carve a bulu. So it depends also on the objective, on the object of it. But there's not really like distinct. So this is Banaue style. This is Kiangan style. It gets to mix. Like my family bulul would have the face of my grandpa and my grandma, because the original ones got lost, was stolen in the 70s and to the 80s. There's been so much the theft of bululs, because the price is just so high in the market. So we have all these agents just opening rice granaries. In Ifugao culture, you don't lock your rice granary, but in the rice granary, that's where you put all these ritual objects like the bulu. So a lot of the bulu, especially in Kiangan, were lost to thieves in the 70s, in the 80s, including my grandparents' bululs. And then an uncle got very sick, and it was attributed to the loss of the bulu. So they would have to do like a replacement ritual to replace the lost bululs. And because my grandmother is from Batad, and she has relatives from Batad who are bulul carvers, she asked those to come to Kiangan to do the carving of the bululs. Well, these bululs are practically Kiangan Bululs, right? Because they were consecrated here. But the carvers are from Banaue. So what is it? Is it a Banaue Bulu or is it a Kiangan Bulu? Because the consecration ritual was definitely Kiangan. It has its own style because you don't see any other Bululs with the face of the sponsor on the Bulu. Because as I've said, it's not how the Bulu looks like, at least in the face. It's the consecration ritual that matters. I don't know if I showed you a photo of my family Bululs. I'll show you the photo. Well, it's in the house. I mean, the Bululs are in the house, but we haven't opened the rice granary yet. Sorry, you're going to miss it. So the male Bulu looks like my grandfather, with all the wrinkles, and same with the female Bulu. It's my grandma. So yeah, but that's also that was the suggestion of the artist. There's nothing wrong doing that, no. Just like Tagiling made the Bulu because it was for Tomlinson, who was an American. It He gave the Bulu American features. We do have a lot of myths. Myths, I mean, these are recited prayers. So when a Mumbaki performs a ritual, there's this part of the ritual where he narrates a myth or a sacred story. It's like, well, if you're Catholic, we have the Gospels during the Mass. So that's the part where the Mumbaki recites, and from memory. So you don't invent what you're saying during a Baki ritual. These are all memorized lines. And all this the longest part would be the myth narration, where you mention the story of a particular god or a particular deity. And we have several myths dedicated to the Bulu.